What would an 8-pin with 2 empty pins be? Is that a 6-pin or is it an 8-pin? Or do you average it and it's a 7-pin? Even though that makes no sense at all in the world because there's 8 holes, but only... I'm just going to put some parts in and we'll start it up again together. Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage, and this is my incredibly questionable dream daily driver SUV. This is my 2009 Tahoe Two-Mode Hybrid. That's right, the Hybrid. The vehicle that GM got ready to market too late. They were building it for the SUV craze, incredibly high prices of gasoline, and everyone's love for big SUVs. Then the economy collapsed, gas prices collapsed, and it no longer had an appropriate market segment. So it fell off into obscurity. And it doesn't have a good reputation. I sent a picture of this to my friend Tyler Hoover of Hoovy's Garage, and his response was, "You must really hate yourself." But then he proceeded to not be out Hoovied and bought a substantially worse Cadillac Platinum Hybrid that he thinks was a better deal despite paying more than it cost me to make this work. Regardless, he had to be the hoopty king. I don't blame him, but I have put over 4,000 miles on this thing since I bought it. It's had multiple trips to work on the EV1. It's been my daily driver where I've seen as much as 24 miles a gallon, which is absurd. That's better than it was rated for. It's been great. And eventually the puppies may go in it. This was the replacement of my Cadillac Escalade that was totaled in an accident. Still ongoing, hooray insurance, but we're being positive. This is positive 2026. We're looking forward ahead. And I am positive we're gonna fix my most annoying, long lingering problem on the Tahoe today. So what is that final, really annoying thing? I got one error code. We have fixed everything. We've got the engine happy, singing along. The transmission's in good shape. Fresh oil. We rebuilt the battery pack. New tires. This thing is a dream. Except every single time I turn it on, there's one problem. As you can tell, the sun is going down, but the work isn't stopping. I've got neighbors that are still outside working. I'm still at the shop working. And today's sponsor is for you guys. I'm talking about our good friends, Brunt Workwear. Now, when it comes to Brunt Workwear, it's not for the guys that are going to work off of a clock. They're there 9 to 5 and that's it. This is for the guys who don't see the sun in wintertime. You're up at 4 a.m. if you get to sleep, and you're home and your dinner's gotten cold. It's meant for those who do the work. If you're not familiar with Brunt Workwear, they started with boots, and really good boots. I've had them more than 2 years. I've beaten them to death and they still keep up and they're still comfortable. If you pay attention, I'm in it even when it's not a sponsored ad spot. It is my daily go-to in work pants, work boots, and my hoodie. You know, let's say someone took a bright lime green vehicle on a 1,350 mile grocery run during a winter storm. My Brunt hoodie and pants and boots kept me warm during that questionable adventure. Brunt Workwear has got you covered from head to toe in workwear that's gonna keep up with you and work as hard as you do. All of the boots are water resistant, barnyard proof, and ready to work. They're oil resistant, slip resistant, and high temperature rated to 572 degrees. They're confident their boots are gonna work as hard as you do, and if for whatever reason you don't like them, reach out to them. They're gonna work with you to make it right. Seriously, I love working with Brunt because it's a product I personally use. That's what I work really hard with on the channel to make sure whatever I'm sharing with you, you're gonna see me using. So if you're ready to go ahead and give it a try, jump on over to bruntworkwear.com/questionable10 and use code questionable10. That's gonna save you $10 off your first order of $60 or more. Again, bruntworkwear.com/questionable10. Use code questionable10. Links in the description. You see it on the screen right here. Save $10 off your first order of $60 or more, and you guys, you're gonna fall in love with it. And if you've already jumped on board the Brunt family, comment below. Let me know how you like them or love them. If you feel like they're everything that I say they are, because I really do believe it is all that I say that they are. Again, frontworkwear.com/questionable10. $10 off your first order, $60 or more. Link down there. Speaking of work, I got to get back to it. All right, I told you guys there is one nagging problem left on the Tahoe Hybrid during the introduction, and that's an annoying thing on my dick. The driver's information center. I don't know why GM calls it that. I'm not being inappropriate. It's the DIC. Yes. So, every time we turn the key on, I get the service power steering warning. Every time. Everything else is clear, but that warning. But I do have working power steering. There's nothing wrong there. So, why does it persist? Well, I'm going to bust out. Technically, we're not talking about it this episode, but, look at this beauty. Yeah, that's an unreleased scan tool. That is really kind of a cool thing to have my hands on. We're going to talk about that more a little bit later when you guys can actually buy them. But we are going to jump in. We're going to get this identified. I appreciate actually how quick this thing is at communicating and going through menus. Because a lot of times the stuff is slow, screens aren't. They're not good. I've spent many thousands of dollars on scan tools, and if you remember, 2 years ago, we first did our top-down scan tool, and it's been my go-to, so. This is just the big boy one. Turns out when you do a lot of old, crappy cars, you don't get to play with the fancy scan tools that much. Now, we can do all these things. We're just going to auto-scan. We need to get to our power steering ECU. Because all of the power was dead from the vehicle when I first bought it. It was dead. It had been serviced with the battery disconnected for a long period of time. Lots of small things that make me think we just need to do a calibration. Which one of those is power steering, guys? Power steering control module. Ha! We hit our trouble codes. It doesn't have its power calibration. I think that's just needs the reset. So, good thing about a good scan tool. Boom. So I need to get it off the steering wheel. So we are on park. We're going to go continue. Steering wheel is centered. I'm hoping this fixes it. Oh, all right. Turn steering wheel 90 degrees right. 90 degrees left. And then recenter. That looks pretty center. Okay. And we are going to come back. We are going to read our trouble codes. And it just reset. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, I'm going to do this the Jared way. We're going to look at everything. So it's getting good signal, steering shaft torque. It sees that we're trying to turn the steering. We're seeing voltage. Occasionally that 42 gets high. But we're getting no steering angle. Do we have a bad steering angle sensor? Well, that's all we get on the system. Position, overload, temperature, speed, torque input, the 12-volt battery system, and the 42-volt circuit. And the only thing wrong is steering wheel position. So if I'm going to go off on a limb, we need a steering angle sensor. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. I don't know. But the good news is they've been discontinued. The better news is O'Reilly has a good aftermarket copy, but we got to get to it, so let's go through and hopefully we can get the message off my DIC. I'm going to say that. It feels wrong saying the other thing. Step one, I probably should clean the floor mat. The dogs have never been in this truck. It's just, I go to walk out the door and I'll have fur-free pants and they rub on my legs as I leave the house. Gotta mark the territory, I guess. But because to do a steering angle sensor, we're gonna have to mess with the steering column, which involves airbags, but disconnect the battery. It's not worth getting punched in the face. Also, since the first time of fixing, I got the missing engine cover on it. I mean, look how good this works. Sure, someone's got a platinum Escalade, but I spent less money, and I've got 4,000 miles on mine, and I spent a lot less money. Who got the better deal, I wonder? But pull your battery before you get into anything, because yeah, we got to pull the steering column. Can't remember if we break that connection or if we do it inside. On the Escalade, when I had to do the steering angle sensor, it was that one. But I think for this one, it's in there. I can't remember. I don't know why I like stupid cars, but here we are. But anyway, I love that the Hybrid has such easy to disconnect battery terminals. Swing the hammer and lift it off. Done. So I'm gonna get some tools and a little stand for the camera, and we'll get back together under the dashboard. All right, let's see. So the steering angle sensor lives kind of there, and it's a little tricky to get to. We got to pull a couple things off. There's a pair of Phillips screws on our knee panel. I did a quick couple bits of hunting to reconfirm my suspicion, and I was right. Unlike the Escalade, where you can easily, the 03 Escalade, 04 Escalade, where we can easily pull the shaft down into the engine bay and then reach and get a hold of what we need to. Reach and get a hold of what we need to pull it. What did they make this dashboard out of? Listen, this was GM's bankruptcy era. I guess it was just whatever they could find. But man, even on the side, the thing is just cracking and coming apart. I wonder if there's any hope for finding a good complete dash. I know I can buy covers, but I don't want to just cover it. I'd rather just replace the whole thing. Also, big thank you guys. I appreciate you hanging out and enjoying the easier wrenches here and there while we're still getting back to 100%. I'm hoping we're there sooner than later, because believe it or not, I like doing my crazy projects and getting my crazy projects done. Alright, so I know this bar has got to come because the steering angle sensor is right here. You know, rather than dropping. Oh, no, that's right. We do have to pull this bracket because it shields the shaft from it sliding all the way down. But let me bring you a little closer. You know what? We're going to pull this bar, and then I'm going to bring you closer. At least GM's a reliable GM in this era. 10s, 13s, 15s, Phillips and Torx. Yeah, so you'll need 10, 15, 13, T25, Phillips screwdriver, and a flathead. This applies to pretty much all GM trucks of this generation, the repair process we're doing here. Don't you love when a part has like one specific and slightly confusing way to come apart? Okay. So if you look at this connector right here, this is our steering angle sensor. And its job is it just rotates, acts almost like a secondary clock screen, but it's clock spring, but its only job is to tell the computer which direction you've turned the steering wheel. And currently it's telling us nothing. So they're not horribly uncommon to go bad. There were some bulletins with pins coming loose, so what we want to do here is you want to look, and you can kind of see the metal pin. You see the silver right at the connector bits. You know they're good. You can also look at the back to see if any of these wires are sticking out further than the rest. Just make sure those are all fully seated, which they are. The other thing you want to do, pop this clip so you can pull your foot vent out. That gives you just a little bit more room to work around. And once we get that out, it's kind of hard to see, but where my finger is here, there's a through bolt. It's a 13 bolt head with a 15 nut. Take that out, and then we're going to be able to pull our mounts and slide the column that away to get to the position where we can start pulling our sensor. Yeah, we're kind of doing that whole elephant adage right now. Since we can't jump in any of the big, huge, major projects, I still gotta work slow, and I just got myself into having way too much. We're just gonna go slow. What can we knock out little bits at a time? We got our ISF running. We're fixing a trouble code here. Hopefully helping teach a little along the way, which is always fun. So I can get this on. Ow. Definitely a time I wish I could lean on my knee a little more. So right above the washer pipe spot. Come on. Maybe one of these days I'll get in there. There's a Starbucks food wrapper from when I bought it, shoved kind of under the dash a little bit. I should get rid of it one of these days. All right, that's turning now. Now we got to get the 13 on the other side. Sorry, it's tight squeeze. Now when you put this together, there's no reason not to do it, you know, quote unquote factory right. Bolt goes center of vehicle out. So there's nut and bolt. Appreciate that they have the thread locker on the whole thing, but really not much when we get to the bolt section. Now, the steering wheel is going to have a lock. You still want to be careful when you drop it. You have a couple options if you want to lock up your steering wheel with, I've seen people use tape, a couple other different methods. That's your call. Really, in my opinion, you just be smart, and also it kind of only keys in one way because you're dealing with a D shaft here. So now we go back to our extension in our 15 and we pull our column mounts. Man, this thing is really clean in here. I'm very happy with this truck. I do feel, I felt like I took a pretty big gamble with it. Just limited history, and it had basically the total codes. You know, if it was bad, the truck was done for. And we did get very lucky on the coolant, but you know, we rebuilt the battery pack. We've done a lot to improve it. Interior wise, really nice and clean. There's still quite a bit of evidence that kids were in it. It being so clean is also why I have not gotten the dogs in it yet, which I need to come up with a long-term puppy solution, because, you know, I gotta take them to the vet. We're trying to decide if we want to sign up for the Atlanta St. Patrick's Day Parade. The Schultz Foundation and the Great Pyrenees Rescue Atlanta always has a fantastic spot set up where all of their alums and well-behaved Great Pyrenees get invited to march through downtown Atlanta and just make one giant cloud of fluff as they move through. And I mean, Pure and Magni, I think, would really enjoy it. Oh. Here, you know what? I'm gonna get a longer ratchet because that's just dumb. I'm smarter than that. I mean, if I was really smart, I'd bring power tools out. Oh, so much easier. That's called torque multiplication. By going from a 6-inch ratchet to a 12-inch ratchet, theoretically, you're reducing your required torque output by half. Also, don't be dumb. Do your bolts first, then your nuts. Also, when these come down, you sometimes are going to have plastic shims on top, usually in the rear, which we do. So as that drops down, right here, here. Well, I lied, they're metal. But you've got your shims and spacers, make sure you put those back when the rear goes back in. I'm trying to remember. So we got a slider out, disengage it from the shaft. Okay, that's disengaged. Now, I'm trying to remember. All right, so once you're here, guys, you've got your steering wheel slid off the shaft and pulled back. This bracket is going to keep you from being able to slide your sensor off the way. This one here. So you've got to remove it. This metal part here that swings way back. There's 3 T25s right on top that you got to remove. And with all torques, make sure you're fully seated before you start turning, and it's a good fresh T25. Last thing you want to do is come at it with some worn out busted socket and strip your torques. Now again, some people will spin their whole column upside down. It's not a bad idea because then it's a straight shot from the bottom, but I'm also a fan of just minimal column movement, minimal steering wheel movement, minimize any potential risk to your clock spring. And again, that's where if you really wanted, you could do a bunch of tape. You can do all kinds of tomfoolery to lock that steering wheel. Or if you want to go way above and beyond, pull your steering wheel first. Hi guys, yeah, pull your steering wheel first. Get it completely out of the way. With your steering wheel removed, then you are free to do as you please. Because then you can remove the clock spring and there's nothing to worry about. If it wasn't for the crazy cable adjustment things, I'd say just undo the few electrical connectors and bring the whole column out onto a workbench. That'd make life really easy, you know? 1, 2. It's little tiny torques, nothing big. Now that bracket can come up and clear. Come on. Out of the way, please. There you go, sort of. Okay, so you can see that's out of the way. Now there's a protective cover. We pop that off and we can slide our hopefully bad steering angle sensor out. It's giving me 0 degrees. Like that's got to be the problem, right? So before that slides off, a couple small lift clips. Sometimes you get them with your finger. Sometimes you just come in with a flat head, just lift slightly. All right, so that will slide off. Boom, just again, you're getting these small clips to release. And it should just be a matter of wiggle, push, and out should come the old steering angle sensor. Something I'll make sure, remind me guys to show you. I popped that release cable off by accident, so we need to make sure we snap that back on. Please remind me to show you guys that, so that way I don't forget it. All right, so we don't want to move it, but that is your steering angle sensor, which is interesting. So we got GM case and everything on it. You can look in there. You want to make sure it's centered. You see how it goes yellow? That means it's centered correctly. So that is good. This darn near looks like a brand new part, but I hope not. Huh. So to replace it, I've got a standard 131. That's what the catalog says. What's nice is it also includes the TSB felt. So there's sometimes a problem where that connector doesn't fit tightly. So they actually include the felt that you should install as part of the TSB. I think that's kind of cool. The other part of it is you're supposed to install dielectric grease, and that comes pre-installed. Now, unlike the window, this comes with this little spring pin. If you ever buy one of these from any of your parts stores, make sure that spring pin is installed. If not, someone bought this to try to fix their car, didn't fix it, and returned it claiming it was new and unused. So just slide it all back in, and we kind of do opposite of removal. Line up your D shaft, slide it right on up. Now that we're fully seated, pull the spring. That's what that looks like. It's kind of a fun looking part. Too bad it doesn't have any more use. Put your plastic, this bad boy back on. Boom. Work your bracket back on top. Hold your tongue just right as you're doing it, of course. Come on, spin back around. Don't you hate it when you're able to like get something to move the direction you need it to, and then when it's time to put it back, no matter what you do, it won't move that way anymore? Or maybe that's the best reason for rolling it. There we go. Now we're getting there. I just gotta get her to kind of drop in to where we can restart our Torx. And remember, put your washers back in. Although it's kind of a matter of, we need to start the shaft, get it slid in, put our washers on. Hooey. At least there's plentiful room. Also, what's your guys' latest wrenching success stories? What have you been doing? Maybe it fits what I've been doing, just putting it off. I got myself overwhelmed. Or something broke and you decided for the first time, hey, I'm gonna try to fix this, and you're successful. Or maybe you decided you want to try to fix something and it didn't work out. Share that story too, because guess what? You learn by doing. No one knows everything. I know there's lots of people out there who claim to be the ultimate expert, being, you know, the alpha and the omega for everything, but that ain't true. You always have something to learn. You're always going to make a mistake. It's what you do with those mistakes that define who you are. I'll tell you what. You screw up, but you keep trying. I'm your biggest fan. Because I'm going to tell you, it's really easy going through life. You're going to make mistakes. And getting up, trying again, and keep pushing defines who you are way more than a mistake will. I guess, well, barring if you're like on some island owner's list, that's you don't come back from that. But we're talking about cars, life, jobs, That kind of stuff, not despicable human stuff. Okay. So now we want to get our shafts lined back up. Where'd you go? There you go. Okay. There we go. Shaft in. So next step, we're going to put our 2 washers on and start our nuts. Now, our nuts are nylocks, so we don't need thread locker. I did bring some thread locker out for the front though. How do I keep you both where you're at and push this up? That's why mechanics are special. Oh, perfect. We slid too far down. No. Now we slid too far the other way. No. Bless it all. Come on. Oh. Oy. Guys, this is one of those moments where you question your sanity. Why did I feel like cars was the right path? Okay. 1, not started. 2, not started. Now we got to get it to slide back on the shaft because that kept coming apart on us. All right, help me out. How did we get too short suddenly? Yeah, the gear selector is what came undone. We want to pop that back on just before I forget it. I'm confused, my friends. So like this, that's the shift lock indicator or mechanism. We are lined up exactly how we should be, but somehow that lower shaft is short. Hi guys. I don't get it. All right, we're pausing 1 second because I need to think. I'll let you know what we come up with. Well, all right. So I'm gonna be really hard pressed to show you, but on that collapsible shaft there, it doesn't look like it, but it does collapse. So I just had to come in with a pry bar and push it back up because the moment we unbolted the column, it pushed that shaft in. So you just have to whoop, pull it right back out. Now we're onto this connector. That service bolt in, if we look, they want you to take that little bit of foam and put it on the back side. The main thing is it's just to make it fit tighter, so this can't wiggle around or do anything weird like that before you plug it in. Again, the other part of the GM side is you're also supposed to put that dielectric in, which it has already. So I'll tell you what, you saw me take it apart. Installation reverse of order. I'm gonna get this buttoned up, catch a drink of water, and then I'll pick you guys back up with us plugging that scan tool in and having some steering angle signal. Hopefully. Okay. Back, trouble codes. It's still saying 0. Let me dicker a bit and I'll let you know. I thought for sure we were going to fix it. Now normally you're going to have a trouble code for a bad steering angle sensor. We didn't. I was going off the fact that I was getting no steering angle signal. And I thought for sure that was going to be my problem. But it wasn't. I'm swinging for the fences. I'm doing the brake torque control module relearns. There's only 2 codes in the entire vehicle. The electric brakes basically saying, hey, we're getting some bad data somewhere, and the steering angle code in the steering system. So I don't know. I probably shouldn't be doing anything with the brake because it's obviously just saying, hey, I'm getting bad news. But I'm trying because it doesn't make sense unless we have to do a relearn, like an actual software write, which will kind of stink. But given where we are at, I'm wondering if there's a software mismatch. The fact that it will not learn. I watched that one, and that was someone using a Tech 2. This top down is done way further. In the past, I've had that code, and I tried resetting with my other tools and a really, really, really expensive tool truck tool, and it couldn't even get to that process of attempting the calibration. But I'm wondering if this is a dealer issue, if it needs software written, which really kind of stinks. So, let me show you the problems we're having on the ISF. And I spent $100 on a sensor I didn't need to replace. That happens, though. I mean, that's part of it. We do our best. All diagnostic steps were pointing to, hey, we're getting no information from the sensor. It might be bad, and you go off of that sometimes. And it doesn't always work. Well, all right, guys. ISF update, because we didn't solve our steering problem. Also, that was there. So, I don't know where that went. That's fun. But if you look at this paint, that's overspray. A tremendous amount of... Now, listen. This paint wasn't good. We had to fix some problems, but you can see with the razor blade trying to clean the glass, you can hear compared to you got nice and quiet, and so that's kind of a bummer. The responsible parties are denying responsibility, but that doesn't matter because we have to fix it. I barely touched it, and that flaked off. So when I first bought the car, I knew it had some type of work. I don't know if it had a whole quarter or what, but moisture's been getting underneath that and has lifted all of that primer and Bondo work. So what does that mean? You can see it goes all the way up into here. We don't know what that is. So we're gonna have to sand this down to metal, figure out what it is, if we can body work it out a little bit more and get filler back on it, and then it's time to tackle paint. But I did get this thing going down the road, and I think that's where our vent went. Let's jump in here. You know, it's so hard to do everything with 2 hands, but the good news is we don't need help firing it. It just comes right into life. And yeah, if you listen though, there is the tiniest bit of a misfire in there, just a small one, and that's what we were running into going down the road. What would happen is we'd get some speed going and go full throttle, and it would just kind of fall on its face and go limp mode. But we can sit here, you know, now it's cold revving a little bit, but, oh, I lied. If you actually look, we're currently in limp mode. We're flashing a check engine light. So, let's see. I remember where there we go. Where it is, get that plugged in, and let's see what we've got going on. This is just gonna be a whole lot of diagnosing fun for the day, I think, right? So I was trying to go through the maintenance menu to see if we couldn't force something to work in our favor. There, you see it clears up and goes away a little bit. Confirm VIN number. Read DTCs. I'm gonna guess it's gonna tell us random. Oh no, it's actually telling us cylinder 6. So before, it was only giving me a random misfire, but then it switched over. I didn't think it was random because when I was looking at our data stream here, it's getting unhappier and unhappier. I actually drove back down the road and now it won't even clear codes enough to let us rev it. So we want to come down here. I'm impressed at how quickly this actually updates. Toyota is notoriously bad at being really slow on data stream. If we look at our long term, it's wanting to pull a lot of fuel only on bank 1. That's our odd side. Our even side, it's not showing that it wants to pull fuel. Wait until I find misfire again, and then there we go. Here's our misfires, and we can actually look. Originally it was setting only, setting randoms, but when I came here it consistently was giving me cylinder 6. So testing misfires are tricky. Now we got all new fuel side things, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily good. There still could be a fueling problem, but a lot of times you're going to find an ignition problem. The good news is, cylinder 6 is so easy to get to. I guess it's mildly better than cylinder 8, but when you're chasing a misfire, you can come to your bad cylinder and unplug your coil. Does it change the way it's running? Not really at all. So the trick I want to do, see how there's really no change to it? Since it's so easy to get to, I'm going to pull that coil, bring it to the front and put a different coil on that hole, see if it cleans up. There's nothing wrong with the coil before, but that's not to say it couldn't have gone bad sitting. Things happen. So ISF's really close, but it is running, which it couldn't even do. Now we're in the small troubleshooting phase. It feels good, unlike that butthead. Ugh. Sometimes just do it. Quit complaining about it, because I was like, oh, 6 is terrible to get to. I just popped that up and it was a nice easy straight shot. We've got both the plugs from 2 and 6 pulled. That is not covered in fuel, so I don't have an injector dumping, but it is peculiar that if it was an ignition misfire purely, I would expect a little bit more. But what we're doing, it's the simplest thing you can do in a misfire test. Swap plugs and coils, sometimes injectors, from one hole to another and see if the misfire follows. That way you're not just throwing a bunch of brand new parts at it without knowing they're bad. So we're gonna drop number 6 into number 2. That's our 6 coil. I'm gonna look at that a little bit closer. Oh, wait, there you go. There's our number 2 plug and coil that are gonna go into number 6. And let's see what happens. That's kind of just where we're at, unfortunately, with the car. Again, it didn't run at all. It was dead. And now that we have it running, we can start figuring out potentially some of the other problems. There's also always the chance that my new refurbished direct inject injectors aren't good, because I always go by the principle of a new part means it's never ever worked. You don't know for sure that's going to work. So don't rule something out because you've already put a new one in. I guess I could say the truth's there. It's possible I got a bad part out of the box. I know there's 8-pin and 6-pin steering angle sensors. I pulled out the connectors and 8-pin housing going back to the Tahoe, but it's only got 6 pins on the sensor of what I pulled out. The new one I didn't look at. Online calls it an 8-pin, but people also call that an 8-pin, but there's only 6 pins. I don't know. It's confusing. It's math. What would an 8-pin with 2 empty pins be? Is that a 6-pin or is it an 8-pin? Or do you average it and it's a 7-pin? Even though that makes no sense at all in the world, because there's 8 holes, but only... I'm just going to put some parts in and we'll start it up again together. Well, all right, let's see. If we're lucky, that misfire is going to go to 2. If we're not lucky, the misfire is still on 6, which is wiring or fuel related. Wait. Here, let's just do it this way. We'll give all of our, and then combine. You know what that means? She's ignition. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is, because spark plugs are $40 a piece, I'm gonna turn it off. We're gonna put the coil on cylinder 4, leave the spark plugs alone, and let's see what happens. Okay, we failed at the Tahoe, but we might have the ISF's last problem solved. Please. Swap 2 and 4 just to see what we end up with. My heart song saying coil, just given the bizarre electrical hell this poor thing has been through. Now, to reconfirm, I noticed a couple comments, people asking, well, how the heck would a battery do this? Must have been faulty wiring. The car's stock except for an LED trunk light, which plugs into that bulb. So, no, it wasn't funky wiring. It boils down to, again, I was dumb. I did not go with my gut, and I kept a bad battery in. And what was happening is that battery would basically lose a cell. So the way most modern batteries work is you'll have basically 6 pairs of roughly 2-volt modules or cells. Those go together to create a 12-volt battery. So we'd have some cells dropping out. Alternator sees this and ramps the current up, gets the voltage up to balance for it. Suddenly, those reconnect, and as they reconnect, the electrical system's getting hit with more than it's designed for. That's the best theory. Multiple smarter than me people, we all kind of talked around circles, and that's what we could come up with for the number of electrical failures that happened all of a sudden with a known bad battery. So that's what happened there, and it looks like my ignition coils are fine because our misfire is still on cylinder 2, which means I've got a bad spark plug. I did not expect that. There's no cracks in the porcelain, but proof's kind of in the pudding there, right? Like, the way it felt going down the road definitely felt ignition related. And yeah, now I'm in limp mode. It's not going to let me rev it anymore. I need a spark plug. Also, I'm not going to be able to get one in time for this episode. Just because I've got travel coming up. EV1 stuff, guys. Get really excited. Grant has got the car clean. So we're going to get to pick it up and start reassembly of an EV1, which is an insane thing. We're working on all kinds of cool stuff. We've got the hybrids. We've got really fast, sporty sedans. Commerce. They just approved reopening Commerce, the drag strip, which is amazing. I had this, I had the ISF out a lot there. The wife had her GS400 with nitrous and hurt a lot of feelings drag racing her Lexus out there. We had a whole Christmas where I gave her nothing but nitrous parts and she loved it. We were sad when it went away. Well, it's coming back, which means I need to get my drag car ready. I need to get this ready, get the wife something ready to drive. It's awesome. But why is this not going to be done today? This is my biggest caution I will ever give you guys. Be incredibly wary, cautious when you order your parts online. Even if you see NGK, Denso, OEM, there's a lot of tricks done in the listings on river websites and auction websites and granite websites. The problem you run into also, like with a river website, let's say you do have someone sending in genuine, honest to goodness parts. They're sending in real NGK, Denso, NTK sensors. Someone can send in counterfeits with the same SKU, and most of that website's fulfillment is based on bins. They don't store each person's individual things in one spot. If multiple things have the same part number, they're going to go in the same bin. So you could be ordering from someone who did indeed send in genuine parts, and you're getting counterfeits. So you've got to be careful getting your parts online. I know it's nice because it's a lot cheaper. Amaya, I think is how you say it. Some of you are asking where I got my parts before. Takes a little longer, but they're genuine OEM parts coming overseas. That's a good way. If you have a good relationship with your dealers on certain parts, ignition components, I'm snooty. I want it to be genuine. Or make sure if you're at your O'Reilly and other local auto parts store and you're ordering your NTK, NGK, your Densos, that if they come from the store, 98.729er, it's going to be a genuine part. So be careful. Don't be tempted always to save that, that one spark plug is $71. It sucks that I got to put it in and I need to make the decision if I'm going to do all 8 or not, because they're not very old. Well, I lie. How long ago was it that I did the video doing the valve covers and the tune-up parts? It might be time to do all the sensors. Spark plugs. Either way, we now know what's wrong with the ISF. We have an idea that maybe I need to recalibrate the Tahoe to make it work again. I'm not sure. Please help me on the Tahoe. I would really love to get that error off my DIC. I hate seeing it every time we turn it on, and part of the big road trip coming up, Dwayne is going to be driving it back home, and I hate handing a car off that's meant to just be good, reliable, and having to have a story with it. Oh, you got to do this, and then rub your belly, and then tap 2 buttons here, and it'll be fine to drive. I want it to just drive and work, which, I mean, realistically it does, but you know what I'm saying. Some cars have to not be questionable. So that is going to wrap it up for this episode. We made progress. Tahoe's not fixed. Lexus, we know how to fix it, and then we put it all together and get to driving this, which I'm thrilled about. We're still winning. Calm down. I should just turn you off, but I'm going to let you keep farting. I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices, but don't order your parts from questionable websites, even if they look legit. We'll see you next time.